Hi there, thanks for joining me for another video. I haven't made one for quite a while because I've been busy mucking about with my sim rig. Basically, I was trying to get more performance out of the VR setup, so I decided to uninstall all of my sims and my VR from the system that they were on, which also had everything else in its dog installed on it, and put them all on a new dedicated system, which I based on a Ryzen 9 5900X and a 3080 Ti, which cost me a bloody shit ton of money, and I didn't like paying it, but never mind, it was necessary. We won't talk about that. Anyway, so once all this was built, I decided I wanted to give it a crack and see how it performed versus my old system, and I decided to do that on AMS2, because at the time of making this video, AMS2 just had some new content drop, which was Monza, the Italian cathedral of speed, and probably the track with the worst conceived turn 1 ever. But with this update, we got a bunch of different tracks. We got the modern day ones all the way through to the 70s embankment versions. So in this race, I decided to first of all jump into the Porsche RSR 911 RSR GTE car and take it for a spin with a load of AIs and throw some horrifying weather conditions at it. So, you know, fog, rain, volumetrics, all the kind of things that used to make my old system struggle. And to see how that went. And then after that, took a Group C car around the historic version of Monza just to see what they had done there, really. So, graphics wise, all the settings for this little sort of test are set to pretty much medium. There's not a lot of difference between high and medium in AMS2. The post-processing effects are all switched on and are set to high where necessary, and I've also got Super Sampling 2 turned on. Now, I am of course using a Vive Pro, which isn't as high a resolution as things like the HP G2, stuff like that, but it's still got enough resolution to, you know, cause issues at higher graphic settings. So anyway, it's not really a proper test video, it's just more about me mucking about on a new circuit with some new hardware. So if that sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned. Okay, here we are at Monza. It is sunny because what I've done is put in 2 weather slots. So the first one will be sunny because I want to observe sunshine and shadows and stuff, and the second one is going to be fog with heavy rain. So I've got my wet tyres on already. No idea what the AI are going to do, don't really care. So we've got 30 cars on the grid. As we speed our way down the start-finish straight of Monza to the impending car park. So there's no point in me trying to make any kind of positions here. We've got got a BMW shunting the Corvette there. Kind of reminds me of driving to work before COVID. It's sort of like what the M4 was like every blooming morning. So the first kind of portion of this race, it's only a 5-lap race, but the first kind of portion of it will just be looking at how the late evening sun handled on this system. And to be honest with you, I never really had a problem with sun effects. It was always the wet weather effects that were the issue, and that's why I've dialed in some horrific stuff later on in order to test the system with fog and spray and particle effects and volumetrics and stuff like that. AI are kicking my ass around here. They seem to be pretty fast around Monza. Of course, I've got wet tyres on, so they're getting pretty hot right now. The rear tyres are heating up quite nicely, so there's going to be not a lot of traction at the back of the car. And I can feel it. The rear of the car is pretty slidey. I wanted to kind of get in the midst of the other cars because that's where, you know, it kind of gets stuttery. Unfortunately, they're all just kicking my ass right now, so I have to wait until it starts raining and hopefully catch them up. Nice blast of sunshine through the trees. Of course, AMS2 runs the Madness engine, which handles VR really, really well, so the real test of this hardware is going to be ACC. And the mess that is the Unreal Engine. So far so good. Buttery smooth frame rate. Starting to see some rain on the window now. So I'm going to flip my headlights on and chuck the wiper on. We've got some sort of fog blowing across the track as well. AI are really just smashing me right now. I don't know what setting I've got them set to. They might just be on default because this is a new system, so it's really only just installed this game. So whatever they default at. I don't feel I need the wiper on right now, but I'm gonna. Getting some interesting effects as the car wails around that chicane. Again, no stutter yet, no frame rate problems at all. Getting some reflectivity on the track now as well. So we get this sort of patches of fog or mist just rolling across the track as we barrel through them. I'm not doing very well to keep up with the other cars here, so I'm hoping they'll get slowed down at some point and I'll be able to catch up. There's a guy standing up there on that crane thinking that he'd rather be somewhere else, I bet. So slippery. Wow, the fog's really coming in now. We've got a lot of real nice kind of thick volume to it as well, and yeah, there's just no jitter or frame rate problems here whatsoever. So you don't suppose the night time has really hit yet, so that's what I'll be looking for. AI don't seem to be phased whatsoever by the conditions, they're just driving away from me. Apologise for not being a better driver. So we enter Ascari, and the slipperiness that is these curbs makes themselves known. And some weird flashing effects up ahead as the headlights of the cars tend to light up the spray for the car in front. They seem to be a bit slow through parabolic as well, so I'll take this opportunity to get myself into the midst of them. And again, there's no frame rate problems here whatsoever. This thing is smooth as silk. Uh-oh, gonna ram him. I was on the brakes before them as well, but man, those AI cars can stop. I think I've dinged the Porsche. Okay. Wow, I just can't see anything. There's zero visibility here. Nothing at all. I don't even know what the hell's in front of me. This is mad. I can't believe how smooth it is. It's just so playable. Now, with these kind of conditions on my RTX 2020, oh sorry, 2080, I got rammed by the BMW. Yeah, as I was saying, it wasn't even a BMW either. As I was saying, yeah, these kind of conditions on my other card, my 2080, it would have ground this thing to a halt. Or at least made it fairly uncomfortable to play. I've wankered my suspension because my steering's off centre. So I don't know how successfully I'm going to be able to maintain my control over this car. Spray effects don't look too bad in AMS2. They're kind of dodgy in the sense that the cars seem to have this mask placed over them. Fades them out a little bit, which then looks a little bit odd against the background surrounding them. Let's come up alongside another Porsche. Come out a little bit because these guys, I think they can outbrake me in these conditions quite easily. So headlights behind as well used to cause me a bit of an issue, and so far so good, no problems whatsoever. Guy up on the crane there wishing he was dead. I'm not trying to get past at all, I just want to sort of be in the thick of it as we negotiate slower corners, because again, slow down is where frame rate gets a bit jittery for some reason. Just like my voice. Got a dry line forming, so we can stick to that quite well. Mirrors look good as well. We've got reflections being rendered plus headlights, and that's not giving the VR any problem whatsoever. Hit some standing water there. Nearly lost control. Standing water plus suspension damage makes hard to control car. And standing water on the inside of the parabolica as well, which if I hit, it'll just yank me into the curb. AI being pretty slow and cautious through there, which gives me a bit of an opportunity. So I'm really loving this version of Monza. That's it, race over. Of course we have Monza on ACC as well, which is probably a laser scan version. I don't know if this is laser scanned. I think it probably is. I think Razer have been doing that a lot lately. But I'm not sure, 100% sure about that. Anyway, that's pretty much this little test over, and yeah, worked really well. There was sod all jitter, and despite the fact that that's probably the worst case scenario for VR in this game, it handled it really well, so I'm pretty pleased. Right, so before I clear off, I want to have one lap around the historic version of Monza. So we've actually got quite a few layouts with this track pack, and the modern one is obviously the one I just did, but we also have junior layouts, which I've never even seen before. We've got the historic, the sort of main loop, the historic version, so no chicanes and lots of awesome billboards probably, and a 90s version with a different chicane rather than the one that's present at the moment, the killer one. So we've got a historic junior, and then of course the really old ones, the 60s or the 70s, sorry, with the embankment involved as well. So we've got one with a chicane and one without. So I'm going to have a little crack at this, and I'm going to go around it in a Mercedes Salba C9. So I've got the wrong rim on for this car for a start. I need my kind of full rim for this thing, but it doesn't matter because all I'm going to do is about one lap. Just want to see what the circuit's about. I've only ever driven the historic version of Monza once, and that was in Project Cars 2. It was the only other title I've got with a historic version of this track in it. So let's go and have a look what AMS2's done. And I'm going to ignore the speed limit for the pit lane. As we hit the start-finish straight. Look at these billboards, they're awesome, aren't they? massive things. Oh, look at this embankment. This is awesome. I love embankments in VR. They're pretty wild. And this thing is enormous. It's really bumpy as well. It's like the carousel at the Nordschleife on steroids. So this track was originally called the Cathedral of Speed, and I think this is probably why, because I can probably get around here without lifting. Obviously I'm in an 80s car with aero, and this is the 70s track, so I'm a bit more advanced than this track was sort of designed for. So, but this car is capable of around 200 mile an hour if it's set up properly. I think we'll see that today. We're at 300, which is probably about 180. If I made it proper slippery. So we just probably take this corner completely flat out. So there's no nasty chicane before here. I haven't taken my foot off the accelerator yet. I haven't gone anywhere near the brakes. But I'm going to have to right now. Probably the only two corners on this circuit that you actually need to slow down for, as well as probably the Parabolica. But we are heading now toward the Parabolica, and there's no Ascari chicane. Instead we have this long sweeping left-hander where we can just take the car up to where we're doing 308, 309, 310. As we come round Parabolica back to the start-finish straight, and we on the other side of the cones this time. So the embankment would have spat us out over there. So there you go, there's the embankment in the distance. Which is really awesome actually, it's such an awesome track. I'll have to do some races on this one I think. And I'll park here. That'll do. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for joining me. I shall probably be in ACC next, testing this thing out in that monstrosity. But until then, take care, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.